Okay, here we are. We made it. Our sixth podcast here on my wonderful show. Well, I think it's wonderful. Comics Karma. Glad to have you come aboard. Our last guest was Grace Fraga. Now we're here with good old Steve Williams. Excuse me. And boy, it's just weird that we started this a few months ago, and now I'm finding out that I'm getting older. It is my birthday next week.
Wow,
Monday.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Heard you're going to be 62.
Whoa! Not that much, but I am getting up there. And, I noticed that getting older, I can tell when I'm getting older because I'll be putting on the radio, and, there's pop and there's reggae and there's all kinds of music out there. And I love oldies stations.
Like?
And, basically I was listening to some oldies stations, and I had a couple songs come on. And a song came on, and I go, oh, my God, it's Barry Manilow. Now, you can tell you're getting older when you know that it's Barry Manilow from the 70s. Not only do I know that it's Barry Manilow, I know the words. How scary is that?
I don't know any of his music, so I feel good.
I'm telling you, it's just, you got Copacabana.
I do know that.
Oh, damn. Oh, Mandy. Oh, God. I write the songs that make the whole... Oh, jeez. I know the words. I know it's Barry Manilow. I'm getting freaking old.
Yeah, you are getting old.
Oh,
because you just
did
3 lines from some of the songs. You are old.
Exactly.
I knew the chorus, but that's about it.
Yeah. And, of course, we got the Monkees, and all those kind of songs from the 60s on, and now we're going back to when I was a little kid. Oh, boy. 1960s, Daydream Believer. God, my dream. Oh, boy. Oh, man.
You are really old, dude.
I'm telling you, man, Steve. It's crazy. And we're from, I'm from Rochester, New York, and...
I'm a 716, baby.
You're 716? Here's Steve Wilson here, and he's from Buffalo. And it's funny, being from Rochester and Buffalo and Syracuse and Utica and all those areas up there, that if you guys don't know, the audience listening, that if you haven't been there, basically all people do is they bowl, eat chicken wings, and watch football and get drunk and hockey, a few little hockey drunk. And they're all Italian. Yeah. All my friends' names were Joey, Frank, and Sal. All the time. It's like, hey, Johnny, how you doing? I'm doing good, Sal. What are you doing? I'm nothing. When they come on over, I say, yeah, have some freaking sauce. Have some meatballs. All right? Oh, my God, Sal. He's like, hey, come on, say hi to Frankie. Good. Hey, Frank, how you doing? I'm doing good. Want to go bowling? Want to have some chicken wings? Oh, jeez. Here you go. The thing about Italians... that, on the weekends, there's only 2 things that they do on the weekends. They either go to weddings with like 700 people. I'm getting married, yeah, and Aunt Rosie's going to be there. Maria's going to be there, okay? And you want to come? Yeah, what are you going to have? Pasta and sauce, of course. Or they have funerals. They say, Sally, you want to go out? Oh, no, your cousin Nikki died. Yeah, I'm going to go to a funeral. It's like, we go to a wedding after that, though. So it's either weddings or funerals.
What are you, a Napoleon family? You just described all of that.
I'm telling you, it's freaking crazy, man.
You a soprano? What is this?
Yeah, the Godfather.
Right.
Look at that dump to my boy.
Right.
Look at that. But the thing is that, about being in Rochester and having these guys, at least these guys have names. Because if you haven't noticed, people can get lazy. I met a guy in a park, and we're talking about my dog Rocky, and things like that. I love my dog. And we're hanging out, and finally, after like 2 or 3 minutes, I asked his name, and he said, Guy. I go, really? Really? So, matter of fact, you have lazy parents, right? Is that it? And he said, yeah, my name is Guy. I go, then I asked what his father's name was. He says, Buddy. Oh, my God. They can't even come up with a regular freaking name like John or Steve, like us in this recording studio, Okay, his buddy, guy, sister, whatever. Freaking crazy, these guys.
What makes me laugh at what you just said is, I just did a show last night with one of my best friends. His name is Guy Torrey, and I just hung up the phone before I got here on the phone with my Buddy Lewis. It was his birthday, so I called him to say happy birthday to Buddy.
There you go.
And then you say these two names, and
There you go, exactly.
we
Buddy.
were meant to be here together today.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Hilarious.
Oh, man. So, well, let me welcome my guest who's been talking array with me here, and we're already having laughing, and we haven't even started yet, and we're still laughing. So, good old Steve Wilson's here. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, what's happening? I'm clapping for myself. I tricked everybody.
There you go.
This guy's good. Yeah, it's me clapping. Yeah. I love this guy.
He's good. He's good. So it's funny, you know. I just heard about you a few days ago from Cindy, and the second she told me that you're from Buffalo, I go, man, I gotta talk to this guy because we have a lot in common. My brother married a girl from Buffalo. He lives in Batavia.
Wow.
I know. You know, of course, like I said, I'm from Rochester, New York, which is an hour away. You know, I got into stand-up comedy back then, back in the 80s, doing a couple of small little bars there, here and there.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it was getting big, you know, 83, 84,
yeah,
85.
comedy was really big, yeah.
Huge back then. That's what kind of motivated to get into it. And then, but you told me, Steve, that you got involved in comedy at 9 years old. I know I started doing impressions and getting kicked out of the library at 9 years old. And how did that happen? How'd you get into that?
Well, my grandfather got cable television. Back then it was actually called Home Box Office. It wasn't HBO. It was called Home Box Office.
Home Box Office, right.
And
That's right.
he ran a cable from his house to our house so we can actually get cable. So basically, I'm telling on your show that we used to steal cable, but I digress. And
It's okay.
And he put it on for me. And I used to have like this 13-inch black and white TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first movie I ever saw was Nighthawks with Billy D. Williams and
Oh, I
Sylvester
love that
Stallone.
movie.
Yeah.
Seriously,
and I'll never
love
forget
that
my
movie.
mother was in the kitchen and she was making
Yeah.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
And I heard him say, "I want that bastard." And my mother was like, "What are you in there watching?" And I was like, "He said bastard.
It's right.
I'm a bastard. That's great." And because my father left. But anyway,
Yeah.
I later on that
It's a
night.
great movie. Nobody ever talks
Oh,
about
it
that
was a
movie.
great film.
I was actually thinking about why have they not made a remake of that or another edition with that with Stallone and somebody else, you know?
Right, you know,
I don't know why that was a great freaking movie.
Grateful. Rutger Hauer was the bad guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, cut to
Yeah.
I had earlier on I had seen this guy, man, and his name was Robert Klein.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this joke called "I Can't Stop My Leg." This
Oh,
is
yeah.
about 1979,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the funniest thing I had ever seen in my life. And I was like, I want to be this man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I thought it was so funny, but I had forgotten about it. But then when I got cable, it came on again, and he came on. And I was like, wait a minute, that's the guy. And I remember
Right.
laughing like it was the first time I ever saw this, and I wanted to be Robert Klein because I can't stop my leg.
Oh, yeah.
And he had the harmonica. And he
Oh,
went,
yeah.
And I
That's
just
a
thought it was
classic.
the
I
funny.
can't stop my leg. Yeah.
And then later on, I saw Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never seen someone talk this way. Because, I mean, you know, Robert Klein is, like, completely different from Richard Pryor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I saw this man, and I was like, wow, this is just like, and I remember watching, growing up in the hood, you rarely saw people smile. Nobody was ever happy.
Mm.
I mean, the adults, you know, you can, because they make the kids go away. Kids are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Mm.
So I never really saw them happy. And I remember one time watching Richard Pryor and watching all of my aunts and uncles and like my mother, I mean, bent over laughing so hard. And they were smiling. And I was like, wow, these people are happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be like this. Well, I can make them happy. Well, I don't have to be in the room and they would.
Right.
And I made a decision that I wanted to do what these guys did. And then after that, I saw Sam Kinison.
Mm. Yeah.
And it changed my life. And I was like, I'm definitely going to do this. And then I never forget 1986. HBO did for New Year's. they ran every HBO special that they ran that year. So I got a chance to watch on a VCR. Remember VCR?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, Paul Rodriguez, Elaine Boozler, Buddy Hackett, Bobcat Goldthwait. My mind just drew a blank, but a list of comics, and
those are classic
studied,
comics. Yeah,
I studied all of them because I wanted to be like with Jerry Seinfeld, how he go on there, like, and the dog he was wagging his tail.
Yeah.
I wanted
I can't
to be
believe he did this.
right. I saw Paul Rodriguez when he's, he talked basically like, even though he's and Don Marrero was there too.
Oh yeah,
Don
Marrero.
Marrero.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
And Don Marrero had a little Petey and then regular Petey, irregular Petey, and I thought that was like, wow, he's talking about his family. Like, what if I talk about these nuts? Because my family's out there.
Right.
And I just studied these people, and how I got into comedy was I remember I was 15 years old, and I was in the basement and I was writing my act, and I was like, I'm gonna work this out. And not knowing my mother was upstairs listening to me because she can hear me actually laughing. So she don't know I'm working on my act. She just think I'm downstairs having he's having a meltdown.
Right.
He's down there talking to himself and having a meltdown. So I told her one day, she put me aside and said, well, what are you doing down there? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm writing. I'm be a comedian. And she's like, oh. She didn't believe me.
Right.
One day I came home from school, and there was two white dudes sitting on the couch. And she's like, they want to talk to you. And I was like, about what? And they was like, so you really want to be a comedian? So I'm thinking, she think I'm crazy, and they about to take me away.
Right.
But it was basically it was a club called the Comedy Trap. Yeah, so it was a place called the Comedy Trap Comedy Club, and they asked me did I want to do a talent competition. So I'm like, I'm really not thinking they're there for that. So I called their bluff. I'm like, yeah. Because I was prepared. I had written a 15-minute act, and I knew once I got in front of a crowd, I was going to kill it.
And this is Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first show was at the Convention Center, downtown Buffalo.
Wow.
About maybe 300-400 people there. And
that was your first show?
First show, and I killed it. I killed it so much, they took me out of the competition and asked me to host the rest of the show.
Really?
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was 17.
17.
17,
wow.
first time on stage.
Damn, yeah.
I'll never forget it. It was
really
January 28th, 1987.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And 2 years later, I dropped out of high school because I said, this is what I want to do.
Right.
I got my GED,
right.
and I moved out here to L.A., and naturally I failed. I got bumped by Yakov Smirnoff at the Comedy Store.
Oh, jeez.
And I mean, what a country, all that stuff.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
I was at the Comedy Store, and it was a comic that you might know, Eddie Brill. He came to Buffalo,
right.
And he saw me, and he's like, hey, man, you really have something. If you really want to do this, I'll help you out. I'll never forget Eddie for this. When I moved out here, I called him, and he took me out to the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory, and he said, put this kid up. And they had my name on the wall at the Comedy Store. I'll never forget.
Really?
And I was sitting there, and I was next, and I was ready to go, and I was all excited. I was nervous.
Yeah.
George Michael was sitting in the front row with two pretty girls. He had these earrings in his ear. I was like,
really, George Michael?
I gotta get. Yeah, he had girls with him too. He was faking
girls.
And,
I was gonna say.
But he had two earrings, and I was like, I want to get.
He doesn't
two.
like girls, but
right. And just before they introduced me, the manager taps me on the shoulder and says, yeah, kid, we're going to have to put you up a little later or maybe tomorrow. Yakov Smirnoff just came in the house. And I was like, what does that mean? It was like, I was like, I don't understand what it means. I'm bumped. What does bumped mean?
Yeah.
He goes up, does like a half hour. And so then I finally,
that's what happens.
I'm 17 years old, and I finally get upstage about maybe 1:30 in the morning. So cut to, it's maybe 13, 14 people in the audience now because they all left. And I go upstairs.
Yep, that's what happens,
and I tell my jokes, and I get a couple of laughs, but
to the bartender.
Right. So the dream is gone because it's like but it's pretty cool. That was my introduction to comedy. What made me start. Yeah.
Wow. And so you kept on going after that, and then.
I moved back to Buffalo because it was too hard for me.
I did.
As a 17-year-old kid.
Right.
And my mother said you gotta have something to fall back on, so she made me go to college. I'm like, well. College, obviously, it didn't work. I dropped out of high school, but I went to Buffalo State College for 4 semesters, and the bug was just killing me. Yeah. I got in a comedy competition, and I took like 3rd place, and I said I might be good at this,
Right.
So I moved to New York to do comedy, and I got booed at Showtime at the Apollo.
Huh.
And that's one of the things that changed me as a person because in New York,
It's a pretty big venue.
Yeah, oh
Apollo,
yeah,
man. It's huge.
It was on national television.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember watching that on TV.
And
Night at the Apollo.
And I remember Sinbad was the host at the time.
Oh yes.
And I touched the log, and as I was walking to the stage, they started booing me.
Really?
I mean, booing me. I hadn't even reached the
You
microphone.
didn't even done the mic. Oh my! You gotta be kidding me.
But New York changed me because that was the first time I saw homeless people. I mean, I've heard of, like growing up in Buffalo, they used to just call them bums.
Right.
But I didn't know that didn't mean that they didn't have a home.
Right.
Like I would get on a train and see people sleep there, and I'm like, oh. My ignorance, I'm like, well, what the hell is he doing? No, this is his house. I'm like, what do you mean? This is the train. And it was like, so I remember I moved back home to Buffalo because that didn't work either because I was like maybe 19 by this time, and I still didn't have what it takes to.
Yeah, you're still a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, and I moved back to Buffalo. I remember asking my mother, I was like, do we have homeless people here? And she started laughing, like, of course. And being the ignorant kid I was like, I got to do something about this. I can't, not on my watch,
Yeah.
So I started a fundraiser with the local radio station, and I raised money and got clothes and food for the homeless for 13 years.
Really?
Before I moved to Orlando to save some money, become the house MC of the Orlando Improv.
You moved into Orlando?
Yeah, I lived in Orlando.
So did I.
Yeah, wow. This dude is stalking me.
You gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be kidding me.
I was the house MC.
I didn't know this until now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I did not know this until right now. I lived in Orlando for 4 years. I'm actually going to Orlando next month to visit my friends.
Wow.
Because I haven't been there in 12 years.
Hilarious.
Seriously.
But here's the thing. So you left 12 years ago from Orlando?
I left from I lived there from 88 to 92.
Oh, okay, all right.
And then I lived in Miami from 92 to 98. Then I moved out here. But I was talking to my friends from Orlando, and they said, John, we haven't seen you in so long. Come out and visit. I said, okay. So I'm going to visit my mom in Miami. But I'm going to go to Orlando first, and they take Southwest, 1 hour flight
Right.
to there. So to do the Orlando-Miami thing. And I love Orlando. It's one of the best times of my life.
Old town, man. Mine, too.
Man,
I lived in
best.
Orlando from 02 to 03.
Oh, okay. Just 1 year then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the best time of my life, which turned into the dark part of my life, where I was homeless for 3 months after I left Orlando. So,
we're going to get to that in a second. Just really quick, tell me about how your mom, and you said your mom, like my mom, is the same. Very
your mom's a minister?
Spiritual. Well, not a minister.
Oh,
but she's,
yeah, okay.
But she's religious and spiritual. Your mom was a minister?
She's a minister right now. She is. She's
That's amazing.
retiring from her job from the State Department of New York in August, and she's going to come full-time to the church. She's already the chaplain at one of the hospitals. I can't remember which one it is because I'm a horrible son. But she's a chaplain at the hospital. Like when someone dies, she gets up in the middle of the night and go there and comfort the family, then they get up and then go straight to work. Yeah.
That's great. That shows a really sweet part of her, to kind of do that. And you said you had brothers, you said? Or?
I have one brother with my mother and my father. I had 2 brothers and a sister. So my sister just died not too long ago. I don't know how. No, I do know how. I think they told me domestic violence. Her boyfriend killed her or something like that. But I never really knew her like that. We would always see that. Yeah, I don't really know her like that.
Okay.
Like my father's kids, I don't know. Like I met Jamie and I met her, but I don't know Ronald. Like Ronald lives in Oakland somewhere, and Jamie I met because when I first got on the radio in Buffalo, I was trying to be. You hear the theme here. I was trying to be super brother, so I called and said, look, I'm on the radio, I'm doing some positive things. I heard he's my brother, I want to be his role model. And his mother was like, no, you look like your father, jump out of the lake,
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting shot in the face on a drug deal.
Oh, my God. Man.
Yeah. Welcome to the Wilsons, baby.
I'm telling you. Welcome to Steve Wilson life. Yes.
Domestic violence and my sister's death. My brother shot in the face. He's still alive, but I don't know what he does. And But my other brother with my mother, he's good. His name is Lawrence. I know him.
Now, is he into entertainment or anything like that?
He's a promoter. He does like miniature concerts and stuff. Happy Entertainment he has.
Mm-hmm. He's in Buffalo?
Yes.
Now, is your mom funny?
Not at all.
Really? Because I get my sense of humor, seriously, from my mom. My mom is hysterical. And it's like, I look at her and it's like, oh, now I know why I like to do impressions and make people laugh. Because my mom does that. I always joke around all the time.
No, not at all. She wants to be funny now because I'm a comedian, but she's not. My sense of humor comes from Robert Klein, I think. He was the first person to channel it out of me. Like, Robert Klein is my father, basically. He doesn't know this, but he's my dad,
You never met him, though, right?
Never met him yet, no.
Okay,
I can't wait to tell him and shake his hand and tell him thank you.
Robert, come here. I can't stop my leg.
Right. He'll look at me like, oh,
exactly. Just go through and say, excuse me, I can't stop my leg. I can't stop my leg, Robert.
Right.
Leave me alone, Steve.
Right. No, he'll be like, security, get him out of here.
Yeah, no, security, get him out of here, man. I'm Robert freaking Klein.
Yeah,
man.
no, my mother's not funny at all, no. Now, she very, 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 very religious.
That's good.
Very, and she'll, she's not as bad as when I was younger. Like when I first.
She pushed the Bible on you.
When I first moved out here on Sundays, I used to get biblical whoopings. Man, it would be to the point where I wouldn't. And you should never say this, but I see her calling on my phone and be like, "Oh man, it's Sunday." I'm laying in bed with some strange girl, like, shh, my mom on the phone, be quiet. She can't know we do this,
Yeah. I also just saw on Oprah, Kevin Hart, that he was pushed. His mother was very religious, too.
Kevin is a great guy.
Kevin and I know Kevin?
Yes, we used to be in the same men's prayer group.
Really?
Me, Kevin Hart, Odin Polynice, Guy Torrey, and Arif Kenshin, Raphael. It used to be a bunch of us. We have a men's prayer group. We was trying to become better men. So we would drive down to Manhattan Beach and just talk through the problems that you go through as being a black man, and then trying to figure out how we can become better men and role models for the young black youth, and then just pray on it. So we used to be in the same men's prayer group.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It didn't work. Yeah. Every time I turn on the news, there's another black dude getting shot. I'm like, I think we failed, guys. I think we failed.
Well,
but Kevin Hart's a great guy. He is.
He seems like a very nice guy, man.
Yeah, he is. I mean, what I love about Kevin is it's not all about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kevin Hart has 15 guys on salary, and all of them are eating.
Mm.
I'm like, here's a guy who makes, who knows how many millions he makes per film.
Right.
But he takes each one, and these are guys he grew up with and friends. Mm-hmm. He makes sure that each one of them is a producer on the film. So they get a check regardless.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then he took Keith Robinson. He gave him a Comedy Central special because that was his mentor when he was growing up.
Okay.
Keith took one of his wings, so he got him a Showtime special. He took the Plastic Cup Boys, which is Joey Wells, Spank, and Naeem Lynn, and he put them on Comedy Central just last week to make sure they get out there. He doesn't just take people and try and give money. He gives you an opportunity.
Right.
And he just got David Arnold. He just sold a show to Hulu. Is it Hulu?
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot the
one
name.
Of those, either Hulu or like Netflix. One of those, but he just helped him sell the show.
Hulu,
he helps other people get to. He's not one of those guys who just wants to be where the light is all mine. He's trying to put other people on so they can eat too. So I respect that about
That's
Kevin.
Great.
Yeah.
You see, okay, and again, this is kind of gets back to why I'm doing this podcast, and it's all, again, the comics karma. The reason Kevin Hart is doing so well is because he gives back.
In a big way.
In a big
way.
Like
everybody that I know that's in this circle, they're buying homes. And you know how expensive homes are here in Southern California.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me.
Nothing less than $500,000. I
mean, well, that's for a condo.
You're right. A home, right.
$500,000 for a home here. You live in Compton. Stop it. You know that. And I don't think you'll do well in Compton. They're looking at you like, "Hello, officer." They wouldn't.
Exactly. Here comes an Italian officer.
Yeah,
He's gonna kill us right now. Right?
You look like you have snitch on your forehead in the hood. You wouldn't do good in Compton. Like, hello, snitch. Yeah.
What's up, snitch? How you doing, man?
That would be your nickname.
It's John, not snitch. What are you doing? Come on, man. You're a snitch. Get out of here, man.
Yeah. You wouldn't do good in the hood.
No. But you're right. You need like $1 million.
Hey, y'all, I'm Italian. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Make me some spaghetti, snitch. That's what they're saying to you.
Yeah. Bring some cannolis, okay? Come on.
All right.
Cannoli this.
Right.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I didn't know you knew Kevin Hart.
Very well.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah, I was really impressed when I saw that interview with him.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to, because I didn't know anything about him, so I wanted to kind of, listen to what that is. So that's pretty amazing. So you went through starting 9 years old, going through getting into comedy and moving out here at 17 years old, and then your mom and all that, and then moving to Orlando. But at that time, you mentioned that you went through some pretty tough times. It's like, as everyone knows that this is to this, that the thing about comedians is that it's not always fun. It's not all about laughter.
No, not at all, brother.
You hear the horror stories. Unfortunately, I didn't want to bring them up, but Robin Williams and these other people.
Greg Giraldo.
Greg Giraldo, exactly. And it's pretty.
Richard Jeni.
Yeah,
we
I totally
lost
forgot. That's right,
yeah,
Richard
we lost
Jeni.
a lot of people who
I totally forgot. Richard Jeni, that's right, yeah. So, a lot of people don't know that it's a tough life, and most of the comedians, as you know, the people I hang out with, and I do stand up for, over 20 years now, a lot of them are pretty bummed out and depressed, and they go on stage to try to alleviate that and get rid of that. Not all of them, but a lot of them do.
There's a great
it's that whole thing,
us. Yeah, and I mean, I think all of us, if you really get into the business, you will reach a point where you will be depressed. I mean, I think it's par for the course. You know, I mean, I've had my moments where I was just like, wow, this is just like, the one thing about living in L.A., I can't really speak for New York City comics too much, but everything that you desire is right in your face. You see it every day.
Right.
You see a commercial on TV that you remember auditioning for.
Right.
Every audition you go on, this is the one that will give me some breathing room.
Right.
Like where I can make my bills. This is my impression of every actor and comedian in L.A. If I could just book this right here will just give me where I can pay my bills and I can do this and I can just relax for a minute because it's just so much going on.
Exactly.
And you turn
it's
down
an
all the
ongoing,
time.
non-stop freaking thing out here.
Yeah.
And it just drives you crazy, which is why time goes so damn fast. I mean, that's what makes time go fast. It takes
a really, really, really strong person. You have to develop a callus.
You really do. You really do. It's all rejection.
Yeah.
And if you can get through that, and the whole thing, is to follow your, but you're following your passion, Steve,
right.
and so am I, and and put it out there. And most people don't even do anything; they just wait for their agent to call. And
the one thing about
that kind of thing,
you have to work. The reason your
yeah.
agent gets 10% because that's all the work they're gonna do.
Yeah,
everything is on you.
Exactly.
You have to get these things and then pass it over to them because they have the letterhead.
Exactly.
Like they have Gersh on a piece of paper that'll make it. But it's on you to do it. If you think like there's a lot of people out here, I hear them say, "Man, if I got an agent or a manager, things would be bad." I'm like, "No, dude, that's not how it works. You're wrong."
Right. You make it happen.
I'm with Gersh right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have an agent, and dude, they do 10% of the work.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, Gersh is a really good agency, and it's
I know it's the first thing they do is when you start booking. Oh, you got to get new headshots.
Yeah.
Instead of saying we can't get anything, it's your fault. It's something about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we got to get new headshots, man. It's just Hollywood is a machine, and it will depress you. I've been there. I'm not depressed now, I don't think.
Excuse me. Well, speaking of that, I mean, yes, we've all been through that, but, You said that I couldn't believe you said that you were actually in a rent-a-wreck and you lived in your car
For 3 months, yeah.
for 3 months.
A little over 3 months. When I moved from Orlando, when actually I was fired from the club, and I called out all my favors. I said, "Listen, man, I need some money because I have, like, at that time I had $900 cash to my name, like no bank account. Like I had $33, 36 or $33 in my bank account. I can't remember which one it was, but and I just did a gig and I had $900 cash to my name."
Wow.
And I was like, I don't have a job. I don't have money coming in next week. I didn't have, you know how you get that final check? I didn't have any of that.
Oh, yeah.
Like so I, through the grace of God, I lined up 3 months of solid work from Miami to Fort Lauderdale to Tampa to back to Orlando to Atlanta to Evansville, Indiana to Springfield, Missouri to Erie, Pennsylvania to Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and then drive all the way back downtown, back down south to do that last show in Miami and then drop the car off. But in that time...
What kind of time period was that?
3 months and some change.
3 months, okay.
So through that time...
Basically, you lived in your car while driving around to all those cities.
Calling out every favors. I would in Atlanta, I slept on one of my buddy's couches. I would call some comedy clubs that I never worked before and be like, "Hey, do you have a condo? I'm a comedian. Can I just crash on the couch because I can't afford a hotel?" They'll let me do it. And a lot of times I would just sleep in truck stops, and the truck drivers would knock on the door. "Hey, man, hey, you can't, no, you, all these fumes, you can't." Because I was wondering why I was having headaches. I didn't know.
Right.
They said, "Dude, this is not, you'll die." And I was like,
wow.
Because the truck, they had heat, so you didn't have to have the car running.
That's right.
So then I would have to pull somewhere else, and like I was telling you, I remember some days, man, where dinner would be a bag of chips from a vending machine and some water. And then some days, my dinner was water. You would actually go to a truck stop and turn the faucet on in the bathroom and just drink as much as you can.
To fill you up.
That's all I ate that whole day.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought I had it bad sometimes.
Well, the crazy thing about it is one of my favorite moments happened just last year. Like during that time in 2002, actually this was 2003 at the time, I was in Columbia, South Carolina, and I had been driving, and I had probably been driving for like maybe 12 hours, and I was tired, and I was like, I'm not gonna pull over one of these truck stops, man, because this was probably September. This was probably September, where the weather starts to change.
Right.
Like during the day it'll be 60,
right.
But at night it drops to the 40s, and
right.
I was like, man, I don't want to sleep in another truck stop, because you turn the car on, you turn the heat up, and it gets really hot,
right.
And then you turn the car off, and then you go to sleep, and then like maybe an hour or two you wake up later and you're just like in a full shiver, you just shaking.
Yeah.
You got to turn the heat on and warm up again, and because I learned that you can't leave the car running. One, you waste gas, the money you don't have.
Right.
Two, the fumes was killing me, and I didn't know that. So I saw this motel. And it said $39.99, and they had cable, and $29.99 for a motel, and I was like, yo, I gotta. So I pulled up in there and I checked in there, man. This is the worst motel, man. The mattress is like sleeping on this floor right here, but it was better than that car, and I slept so, man. I remember actually getting undressed and getting in my underwear. I had the heat on, man. Right. The faucet was right there, so I could drink as much water as I wanted, man. And it was just like I was balling out, man. I'm drinking water. Every time I turn around, like, let me eat again. I just turn the faucet on and drink some more water. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching TV. And the next morning I got up and I drove to, I think it was Springfield, Missouri, or I can't remember where I went after that. And this year, we're in April. So last year, I get booked at the Columbia House, South Carolina. 13 years later, it's not even clicking in my head. I have in my contract with Gersh.
Really, the same?
But but check this out. I have in my contract that I'm supposed to be in a 4-star or 5-star hotel. It's in my contract. But the Columbia, South Carolina Gamecocks had a big game in town, so every hotel was sold out.
Mm.
So they're like, we're gonna put you in this motel and other stuff. I'm like, I'm not standing on motel, dude. I worked hard.
Right.
I'm my arrogant ass. I'm like, I want a syndicated radio show. I'm not
Right.
staying in no motel.
Right.
They say, no, it's been renovated. You know, I'm like, forget it, because I gotta work. So I need some sleep, and I got 2 shows tonight. So I
Right.
go there, and as I pull into the parking lot, I'm looking, and I'm like, it was deja vu. I was like,
Yeah, memories.
this was the motel that I stayed in 12 years ago. That was horrible. So now I'm angry. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're not putting me in this because now I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
But the guy's like, it's been renovated. It's a microtel now.
Okay.
So I pull in there, man, and we get to the front desk, and he drops me off. He's like, all right, the car will pick you up in a couple hours. And I'm at the counter, and I'm just looking around. And the lady behind the counter, she's looking at me like, she's like, everything okay, baby? Because I had tears in my eyes. Like,
Oh, wow.
because I remember staying there 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But it looks so nice now, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, so breakfast is at so in the morning. I remember I can eat.
You can
And it took me back to, you know, I mean, I'm not hurting
Yeah.
for no money no more.
Right.
But it took me right back to then. Like, wow, I can eat in the morning.
Right.
But I eat every day, so why am I feeling this way?
Right.
So I'm sitting there with
Exactly.
tears in my eyes, and she's like, are you okay, baby?
Brings back these memories. Like, oh my God, I can eat.
Wow. So y'all have food and
You
not
got
just
food?
water?
Yeah.
Man, I remember getting up to the room, man, and I unpacked my bag, and I was just sitting there, and I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and I just couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, dude, this hotel is so nice now. It's a microtel. This is like a 2-star, you know.
Right.
Here I am telling my agent, damn it, I want a 4-star, but I was
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there, and I was saying, like, dude, this used to be a Dude in the Booty Inn, whatever it used to be back in the day, for $29.99, and now it was $120 to stay there.
Wow.
And it just it reminded me of back where I was and how far I've come. So
That's amazing. You know, I did. One of the things in my book, I wrote a book, What's a Little Witness? Everyone, the audience knows that there's a chapter called The No Home Man. And it kind of reminds me about, it's not all about money, you know? It's about health and family
Exactly.
and friends, and people, they just don't get it. And that was 2 years ago. I was just at a job, and I was kind of bummed out, and I wasn't making a lot of money and things, and I needed a second job. And so I was selling these tickets to go to the theater, okay, you know, Geffen Theater and so on, Geffen Playhouse and all that. So bottom line is I get bummed out, and I'm not making any money here. I'm making maybe $8 an hour if I'm lucky. Go outside, check on my car, walk down the street, and I see this homeless man. And all these people are walking by him, you know, their $400 suits, and you got the you know, $200, you know, beautiful shoes that these girls wear and all that, and they just were staring at him, and they weren't really helping him. So I walk over there, and I'm looking at him. I'm thinking about my mom, you know, always telling me these things since I was, you know, 5, 6 years old. Always kind of take care of people and all that, and I look at him, and I go, how you doing, sir? And he was all gruffy, long beard, you know. He had a shopping cart and things like that. And I go, you doing okay, sir? And he just looks at me. He goes, I go, you couldn't really talk. And I felt bad. I said, you need help, anything? And he goes, no, you couldn't talk. So I go, gosh, look at him. I go, so I took out a $5 bill. I said, a little bit of money I had, you know, and I'm bummed out, freaking out about life and business and work, and gave him a $5 bill. And he was like so happy that I gave it to him. And he just kind of looked at me and went like this. And he sat down and he said, well, hope you use it well, sir, and hope everything goes well, you know. And then I walked. It was a beautiful day in May, like 90 degrees. We were on Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks. I still remember like yesterday. And I'm walking down the street, and these tears came out of my eyes. I don't know why. Just these tears came out of my eyes, thinking, boy, I helped him, you know, helped a man with just a little bit of money. It made me feel so good. And I just thought about that with my mom and everything, always saying that. And you know, just looking up and going, oh, man, you know, I can't believe that I'm feeling like this. I ended up going back to work, and I worked another few hours. Went back home at nighttime, work at my other job, and I'm going, the karma thing comes in, Steve. You know, I work another job, and that pays a little bit more money. And he sold a deal, and, you know, made like $500 on a deal. And it's like, and didn't expect it at all. Just came out of nowhere.
Right.
You know? And it's like, man, you know, it's just it's freaking amazing. And it seems like every time people do things like that, you give out money or help people or, you know, whatever, pray, you know, things like that, it always ends up coming back to you in a good way.
Right. And not that you do things to get things back, but if it's from a genuine place.
Right.
Because that's my prayer every night that I say, Father, first of all, I say I accept Jesus Christ as my Savior, and I know he died for my sins. And then I say, I pray that we all, I send up prayers so blessings come down for all my family and friends. I said, I pray that one, we all get closer to you. Not you, I'm talking about God. And because you looked at me strange, like, wow, all your friends want to get closer to me for my podcast.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
I want the whole world to get close to me.
And second, wow, that's hilarious. Somebody's calling me from Orlando. We were just talking about it.
407.
No, that was a 321.
Oh, 321.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second, I said first they get closer to you. Second, then I pray for their health, and then I pray for their finances because you know you can say whatever you want in America. You know, finances are key. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's-
so well, I
that
hear
is
people
quite true.
people always say money can't buy happiness. I said, well, yeah, that's what broke people say. No, money does buy you. Don't let them trick you.
Right. It does. It does buy
It
happiness.
does.
As long as you use it to you know, like help others or to follow your dreams, you know.
Exactly.
Not the big boats and the big, you know,
Right,
things.
right.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
no.
of course it's nice to have that and all that, but, you know, to use it, another thing like that, you know, and really quick story, you know, on that, since we're kind of talking about the spiritual and money and things. I listened to Success Magazine. They have a CD and DVD that comes with it. I had it for like, God, 6-7 years. It's the best $30 a year I ever spent. Get Success Magazine. Very inspirational, positive story. And basically, one of the stories I read is that this gentleman sold a Microsoft company with software and so on for like $300 million.
Wow.
That's insane. And he went out with his wife and kids. He bought the mansion. He bought the private jet. He bought the boat, the yacht, traveled the world, on and on for 2-3 years. And then he was got a call from one of his friends and said, I forgot his name, Joe. He said, would you like to come down to Africa and help out some needy kids that need medical assistance? And he said, really? Really? You want me to do that? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, okay, I guess so. I'm going to leave my vacations, leave my yacht, and leave all this kind of thing. All right, I'll come down there. So he flies down there with a bunch of people. And the kids were crippled. And they needed wheelchairs.
Wow.
But they didn't have any money. You know, they were in medicine or anything like that. But this gentleman ended up donating $100,000
Wow.
for this, which is obviously nothing to him. And they bought wheelchairs and all these great things, these kids. And the kids came up to him and started crying. And they said, thank you so much for helping us out. We can walk now, we can go things now, we can go in a wheelchair and travel around and things like that. And that gentleman went up to his friend who invited him down there. And he said, well, how do you feel? He goes, I'll be honest with you, I feel more happy doing this than the yachts and the boats and the mansions.
How about that?
Isn't that amazing?
No, that is. Yeah,
True story.
Wow.
True story. Yeah. I hear stories like that all the time.
Wow.
And that was just that stuck in my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. So, yeah, that's the thing. No, that's, you know, you also said that you had kidney stones and
Oh
other
man,
things.
yeah. There's now I actually talk about that on stage. That's a
Do you?
it's the craziest thing, man. Because if you drink a lot of coffee, caffeine, like soda, coffee, if you have beer, milk, and what was the other one? It was beer, milk, soda, and coffee. And it was 5. They said, well, I have to cut back on. So I cut all of them out of my life. Like I drink almond milk now. I don't drink any beer. I only drink wine. I might have a soda sporadically, not as much as I used to drink all the time.
Right.
And I cut coffee totally out. So one time we're performing down in Dallas, Texas. Me, D.L. Hughley, and in the middle of the night. No, first it started off, I couldn't stop vomiting. Now I had a flight that I had to take the next morning, but I called my mother. I was like, something ain't right. I've been throwing up like crazy.
Wow.
And I mean, like, it's like bad. And she's like, not like your regular vomit. And my mother was like, well, if you don't feel good, then don't, get on the plane in the morning. So I get up the next morning and I feel normal. So we go to Dallas. We do the show Friday night, 2 shows. No problem. I get back to the hotel room and it starts again. But I mean, like, to the point where it's so bad that I'm passing out. Like, I wake up and I don't know what's going on, and it's like the worst pain ever.
Wow.
So I don't know how your body knows to do this, but I got in the tub and just got in some water. Because not knowing that when you lay down in the water, gets in your muscles and all your organs, they spread out.
Right.
So the kidney stone could travel,
Oh.
So I'm laying down.
know
So
that.
I didn't know that was easing the pain. So I get up, get back in the bed and get about normal, and everything contracts to its normal, and then the pain started, and I start vomiting blood, and I'm urinating blood, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Wow.
And then I pass out again. So I wake up Saturday morning, and something's not right. But I feel normal. So I call the front desk and says, I think I want to call an ambulance. The lady's panicking, like, what's going on? Could you sound, what's going on? And I was like, something's not right. So she said, instead of going to the emergency room on a Saturday, which is going to be crazy.
Right.
She said, there's a doctor's office around the corner. Don't get in an ambulance. Take a taxi. She said, you sound normal.
Yeah.
So I get in a taxi, and I go to the doctor's office, and the lady examines me for 5 minutes, and she calls 911. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, She's like, either one or two things, and they're not good. She said, either your appendix is about to explode, and that's not going to be good for you, or you're about to go through the worst pain in your life. And I'm like, hey, that's not good either way.
Right.
And I look out the window and I see my taxi.
Situation.
Right. So I see the taxi still there. I'm like, I'm not waiting on the ambulance. I'm getting in this taxi right now. And she's like, because you might have kidney stones. So I'm like, all right. So I jump in the taxi and I go to Dallas Presbyterian. She gives me a note. When I walk in the emergency room, when I tell you it's packed,
wow.
And they took me to the front of the line, put me in a wheelchair and took me in the back.
Yeah.
And they did, like a pregnant woman, they put the jelly on my stomach and ran. And then on the side. And then they
pregnant man's coming in.
And then I did the EKG.
Don't listen to him, he's a comedian. Come on. Yeah.
Right. And the x-rays. And then the doctor came back and he's like, yeah, you have kidney stones. And he's like, it's going to be bad. Because I always was peeing blood anyway.
How long ago was this?
2009.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they put me on painkillers and stuff for nausea medicine, and then some stuff to dissolve it. And I was on like 4 different medications, but it was horrific.
Wow, yeah.
Because even on the pain medication, you can still feel it, and then you have to pass it.
Yeah. I heard it's really bad.
It's worse than, they say it's worse than childbirth.
Yeah, I had a friend just had one a couple months ago, and he said, John, it's the worst feeling on earth. It's like having a kid times 10.
I would not wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah. Man, wow.
I wouldn't wish it on Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden.
Right.
I wouldn't wish it on, you name the worst people in our time. Hitler, I wouldn't even wish it on Hitler.
Oh, gosh.
I wouldn't wish it on, you name the worst person in our time, I wouldn't wish that on them. That's how bad it is. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's bad.
You gotta wear all dark color underwear because you're leaking. And
God.
I was spotting like I'm a woman. I'm like, oh my God, I think of my friend that's coming in town. I'm spotting. Good thing is I'm not pregnant. So.
What's that stain on there, Steve? Nothing really. It's just I forgot to wash it. I'm sorry.
And it's so embarrassing because you go in the bathroom and people think you got a venereal disease because you go to pee and you got your hand up against the wall like, oh, and they're all like, oh God, somebody had a crazy night last night. So it's like,
exactly.
It's bad.
The crazy night. Oh, man. That's funny. So have Any really another really bad story that had kind of happened to you? I mean, those are too bad right there.
You trying to make me cry? What are you, Oprah? What is this?
Come on, Steve.
No, that's basically some of the worst things. I had with love. I met this girl when I used to open up for the singer named Brian McKnight, R&B singer.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And I met this girl, and we, had a little one. Here's the thing about Brian McKnight. Well, I don't know if I should put his business out there because he was married. Actually, he's divorced now.
Okay.
So at the end of the show, when you're an R&B singer, you get to the tour bus. There's a line of women waiting to get on the bus to do their duty. That's what groupies do.
Right.
And any women that can't make it on the bus always go for the opening act.
Right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right,
so
right.
I meet this girl, and she comes back to the hotel, and we have a wonderful time. It was so good. I'm like, this is not going to be a one-night stand. I'm going to keep in touch with you. So cut to 3 months later, I just happened to be working at the Columbus Funny Bone where she lives. So I go back there. We spend the entire weekend together, Thursday through Sunday, just like kids having a great time. So over the next 6 months to a year, we started, I would fly her to every city that I'm going to, not every city because I wasn't rich like that, but
right.
once a month, let's say.
Right.
And then we kept in touch on the phone. So it cut to the point where I was like, you know what, we should really start dating. You should move to Buffalo. And I'll help you find an apartment, and, we can see if we can get us a shot. She was like, let's do this. So I get my buddies, Byron, Moan, and Thicky Smalls, and we get in the car, and we drive down there to go get my future girlfriend.
Wow.
And her grandmother's like, oh, I'm so glad that you're getting her away from all of this. You have to listen to the story now because I didn't know what this meant. I'm so glad you're getting her away from all of this and everything. I'm just so happy that she found a good dude. So we moved down to Buffalo, and we come back. Day one. Now, I used to live in the hood. Now, everybody knows if you live in the hood, no matter where you are in the country, there's certain people you don't mess with.
Right.
Because it's the hood, and they'll kill you and beat your grandmother up when she's leaving bingo because it's the hood.
Right.
So she said, I need to smoke a cigarette. I'm on the couch. I'm watching the Lakers. I'm like, go ahead. So she goes on the porch, and I hear this big commotion outside and arguing. So I get up because I got to protect my baby. I'm going to get her away from whatever these fools out there doing. And I get out there, and she's the one arguing with the biggest drug dealer in my neighborhood, telling him he can't sell drugs in front of my house. And he's like, you better get her before I shoot her. So I bring her in the house, and we get in this huge argument because she said I didn't protect her. I'm like, well, baby, don't you understand? You don't.
Yeah.
Cut to, we're laying on the couch. We just had sex. I'm very happy. Lakers on. Got a bag of potato chips and a Pepsi and a naked woman laying next to me. Life is great. And she starts crying, telling me how I'm the best guy she ever dated. And I was like, I want to be the best guy,
Right.
And she was like, because back in the day when my pimp used to beat me. And I'm like,
my pimp.
And I was like, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, she knows I'm a comedian. This is funny. And I look over, but she has tears in her eyes. So I'm like, oh, my gosh, she's serious. And she's like, because, I'm glad I got my life together, because now I don't smoke crack anymore. And I'm like, crack in a pimp? And then after that, she says, my grandmother told me I should take a chance on you. I knew I shouldn't have left Ohio because I got 3 felonies and I'm not supposed to leave the state. And I'm like, oh, God. This is the woman I chose.
3 felonies, can't leave the state.
And crackhead. Yeah.
Oh,
so I started an argument and put her on a Greyhound and moved her back to Ohio.
Oh, man. How long were you with her?
That day.
No, I mean...
Over that course, probably maybe, on and off for a year. We never really committed,
Yeah.
know.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Yeah, I know how that is.
Is that damaged enough for you, John? Is that enough for you?
Steve. So here's the good news, man. You make us laugh starting at 9 years old. You're a great mom, and you went through these, then you started to go through these hard times. And then, as your career gets better and better, you end up being on a show with your friend, D.L. Hewley.
Yeah.
And you've known him for quite a while, you said?
I've known D.L. since like maybe 90, 91. And
wow.
And about, I say in 1998, we worked together. We hadn't seen each other in a while, like maybe 7 years. And actually, because they asked me, the Buffalo Funny Bone said, who do you think we should bring in? Should we bring in Jamie Foxx or D.L. Hughley? And I said, my life could have been different if I had said Jamie Foxx, but I said D.L. Hughley.
Right.
So they bring him in, and we hit it off. We had talked in a while. We was hanging. We had a good time.
Wow.
And then cut to, he just kept asking me, why don't you come out on the road with me? And I'm like, dude, I don't want to open up for nobody. I'm trying to carve my own lane.
Right.
And money got tight, so I called like, hey, man, you still got that opening?
Right.
And 2009, he offered me the job to be the co-host of the morning show on Kiss FM in New York.
Oh.
And we had that for, a year and a half, and it was cool.
Oh, wow.
But then it went away because the syndicator just didn't have the money to pay him.
Oh.
And then 2 years later, when I thought it was all over, and said I would never do radio again because I'm not falling for that anymore, we got a syndicated radio show. And now we're on in 58 cities.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I told you I met D.L. For a few minutes, talked to him, shook his hand at Rocco's.
Oh, yeah, right over there on Ventura. Yeah. I told you I might have been with him.
I know. You probably could have been with him.
Probably somewhere over there drunk and didn't realize he was you.
I was having a few beers myself, actually. Right. So I'm watching one of the games. I think it was like Lakers or something like that.
It had to be the Lakers.
Lakers.
I was there.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, it's D.L." He said, "Hey, man, I'm a comedian. Hey, what's up, man?" Started talking and stuff, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's great. So with D.L. Hughley, and then I've been with him for the show's been out for 4 years. You said you've been with him for
no. We left that one, and this one we've been on for a year and a half for a syndicated show. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're on Afternoon Drive. We're with Reach Media, and we're in 58 cities. It's a really cool thing. It's hard to explain because when you love what you do so much, you always feel like a kid. It's hard to explain when you go to a city and you walk on stage and people know you.
Yeah.
You've worked. I've been doing this for 28 years.
Right.
And it's easy to work hard to become a headliner.
Right.
There's a lot of headliners out there, but you're the guy that it's date night. They don't know who they're coming to see.
Right.
But when you go somewhere and people came to see you, where they actually got a babysitter, and the wife was like, "Baby, we going to see Steve tonight." They forced their man to come out.
Right.
It's a pretty fly.
Right.
I can't even describe how it feels. I felt like a child.
You feel wonderful. Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling.
When I go out, because I'm old school. If the show is over, I stand at the door and I shake people's hands, say thank you for coming out. Right. And out of the 300 people, 200 was like, I listen to you every day.
Oh, wow.
And I can't even describe how good that feels. And then they paid you for it.
Right. It's amazing. Is that great? You get paid for what you would do for free, basically.
Right.
This is what it is.
Yeah, because for 26 out of the 28 years, I was doing it for free. So
That's true. That's true.
So, yeah. And now,
it's like I'm doing this for free.
Right. It's amazing. It's an amazing, you feel like a child. Like you're actually high. It's better than the best glass of wine that you can imagine. Any high that you think that you can get when you work for a goal and you actually reach a part of it and you're in that moment, it's not a better high.
Right. I agree. There's nothing better than that, I didn't forget to ask you, have you done TV shows or films or anything like that?
I was on a sitcom. I was a co-star on Samantha Who. With Christina Applegate and Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was a great time. But every comedy show you can do. I was just on Comics Unleashed last night.
Oh, were you really?
And
I know Byron Allen. Yeah. I met him a few times too. Yeah. Nice guy.
So and then I just I'm tripping. I'm quite sure my publicist didn't even tell you this. April 24th, I'm going to be on Showtime. The Dice Show. Andrew Dice Clay took his 6 favorite comedians.
I didn't know that.
Yes, April.
I saw it on TV. I saw it. It was coming up, but
I'm the token black guy. It's wonderful.
Oh my God!
It is wonderful.
That is so cool.
Yes, I'm going to be one of.
I can't wait to see that.
I can't wait to see it. The guy Scott.
But you already did it.
Together.
It's coming out.
But I want to see it. It's
like,
when you.
When did you shoot it? You shot it.
Man, we shot this last August.
Really?
Yeah.
That long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's finally
It
coming
took that
out.
long to freaking
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's coming,
You know, you figured you put in Christmas, like 2 months, 3 months.
No, we
like
shot
8
this.
months later,
We shot this in August, and it's
Damn.
finally coming on, and I'm really excited because Showtime also is giving Dice Clay a reality show. So they're
I
saying
heard about that, yeah.
they're going to use that show to really push him. So he's
Right.
basically pushing me also. So it's
great.
a pretty great feeling to have something like that. You know, I've never done Showtime. I've done BET, Comedy
Right.
Central, Access TV, the BBC,
Right.
whatever syndicated thing Byron has us on. But
Right.
I've done them all. If you name any show,
Mhm.
I've basically done it. When it comes to comedy wise, but this is going to be big because it's Showtime. So
Yeah, I hung
I'm
out
excited.
with Dice Clay, when his kids were playing at the band.
I was there too.
Get out of here. You were there?
Yes, when his sons played.
Yes,
Cindy brought me.
Yes. I was hanging out. Whoops. I was hanging out with Cindy and oh my God, this is so
We
See,
hang in the same circles
I'm
and
telling
don't
you.
even know it.
And Grace was there, the girl that
Yes,
yes.
yes.
She did it 2 weeks ago.
That's it. 2 weeks ago at the little
Yes, at the other door.
the door.
And
I was
just
there.
last night. I was just last night doing karaoke, and it's like, and I'm hanging out there a few weeks ago, and
Wow.
Andrew Dice Clay's there, Steve's there. I didn't even
Yeah,
know.
right.
Grace is there. I forgot she was going to be there.
Yeah, Cindy
and I'm
was
hanging out,
there, yeah.
and I felt like going up to the Andrew and say, "Oh, how you
Right.
doing? Let's
Right.
go. Your kids are freaking talented.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Oh
Small
my God,
world.
it's so. Were you the one sitting in the back?
Yeah, the only black dude. Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
I saw you.
How do you not know it was me?
I saw you back
told
there.
you I was there, so it had to be me, the only black dude there. Yeah.
I did. I saw you back
Yeah,
there.
that was me.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
I did. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Keep on hitting this down.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
No, I keep on doing it because I'm hanging out there, and Andrew's right here, the band's right there, and I
Right.
look behind her. I go, what's that black guy doing
Yeah.
back there?
Like everybody's looking at me like he must be a Fed. Yeah. Like you in the hood. I was a snitch there. They're like, hello, officer. Yeah.
Exactly.
That was me. That's
Oh, what a
crazy.
small
Yeah.
world, man.
Yeah.
It's freaking weird. That's so funny. That's amazing. Well, we're gonna wrap this up.
Wrap it up in a nice little bow.
So, Steve, it's you had some wonderful stories, and we have a lot of people listening to the podcast. Of course, it's Comics Karma. It's laughing, learning, and living is what it's all about.
Can I shout out my
And,
social media?
Absolutely.
For everyone listening, you can check me out on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at @SteveWilson, or on Facebook, both of my pages, comedian Steve Wilson or Steve Wilson Comedy. And my website is stevewilsoncomedy.com. And you can also listen to me every day, Monday through Friday, on the D.L. Hughley Show. You can go to dlhugleyshow.com, click on Listen Live, and there you have it. It's me.
There you go.
Also, April 24th on Showtime, the Dice Club.
That's right.
Andrew Dice Clay, me, the token black guy on the show. Yeah.
Exactly. So what do you have to say to the people listening in the audience? And do you have anything to inspire them, even though you've inspired them with pretty amazing things that you've gotten through, just the credits that you said? But is there anything else that you want to say to them to leave it off and give them something to think about?
Yeah, I would say whatever you're going through in your life right now, I know it's hard to see it because you're in the storm right now. But trust me, every storm comes to an end. Everything has a beginning and everything has an end. I know that like when you're in that storm right now, it's very, very hard. I get it. I've been there. I've been rock bottom, and I've been, in the middle. So whatever you're going through right now, just know that it gets better. Just hang on. If you can just hang on a little bit longer. I know somebody out there that want to give up right now. Like, I'm just done.
Yeah.
Whatever you're
Very
going
common,
through,
very common,
just hang on a little bit longer, and I promise you it'll get better. Like, they always say, it's darkest just before dawn. Always. Just before the sun starts to come up, that's when it's the darkest. And then all of a sudden you look over, and it'll peek through. And if you give it another 15 minutes, you'll see a little bit more sun. If you give it some more, everything just takes a little bit of time. If you hold on, you'll get there. It might not. I remember my mother always used to say, You just hold. God has His own clock. You know, you can't put things on your time and think. You know.
Absolutely right.
You know.
Well, that's absolutely right, and that's a great saying that I've been saying the past few weeks. To people and to myself once in a while. That God opens one door, and
Right.
closes another. And
Just hold
and
on. I promise you it gets better.
Everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason. And when you look back, it's like, oh yeah, that's why.
Your life
I did
is
that.
your life is a birthing pain. You ever see a child being born? How horrible and terrible it looks, but then as soon as it's done, there's something beautiful there.
Right.
That's what life is. Like
Right.
you go through. Sometimes you're going through those birthing pains, and sometimes when people just say, "Why me? Why me?" You know why? Because it's your turn. That's all.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah,
It's your turn. That's how life is. I mean, there's nobody that has the perfect life. Nobody.
Yeah, you're right.
And if it is, I want to meet this fool so I can do something to mess it up because it's not fair that they got the perfect life.
I know, right?
But I like to, before I know we about to get out of here, but
Yeah.
2 days ago when I was just hanging out in New York City, me and my buddy Gary was hanging down in Tribeca looking over the water. And we were smoking a cigar, and we just watching people jog. And I was like, I like to people watch just to figure out what's going on in that person's life right now.
Yeah.
I might not ever see that person ever again because they're running by me.
Right.
But what's going on? You know something is there. There's
Yeah,
a story there. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Because you're caught up in your own world. Like, why me? Why me?
Right.
There are people downtown L.A. right now that can't eat. So
Yeah.
whatever you're going through, trust me, it'll get better.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Is that that's what my book, what'salittle.com.
That you promised me you was going to give me, but I don't see one here. But I'm not snitching on you.
Oh, it's right there. It's behind. I'm going to give it to you. It's right under there.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
But
I'm trying to throw him under the bus. Okay.
But it's my book and what'salittle.com is it's a perspective on life basically, and it's about a Holocaust survivor that I talked to, and he didn't care about Hurricane Andrew coming back in 1992. And I said, why? And he goes, you know what it was many years ago, son? I go, no. He goes, Auschwitz. I go, oh. And he goes, and he looks at me with a twinkle in his eye, and he goes, what's the little wind? What's the little wind? That's what he said compared to what he went through.
How about that?
Exactly. So the whole perspective is the No Home Man I told you is one of the chapters, and we had a lot of great things about me working with Jay Leno and a few other people, and being around the industry like you have a long time. We have a lot in common. Orlando, Miami, Rochester, Buffalo.
Crazy.
Did clubs there in Buffalo. Yeah. all that
Just
kind
hung
of
out
stuff.
the other night and didn't even know it 2 weeks ago.
I know. And a couple weeks ago hanging out, we didn't even know. Being amazing. But Steve, thank you so much for coming, man. You're
Thank you for having
amazing.
me. Thank you
really,
for having me.
Really, one of the best guests I've had, and
That's not a compliment. You said you only had 6 shows. Wait a minute. What the hell?
You're the best guest I've had.
You
in
don't
6
have
shows.
much to pull from. I mean, like, if you've been on for 200 episodes, I'm like, yeah, this is all right. That's a compliment.
All right, damn it. 6 shows you got, okay?
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. And, folks, we will see you again probably next week. We'll have another comedian coming aboard to Comics Karma and tell you how to laugh, learn, and live. Again, this is Jon Pirinnci, and we will see you next time on comicskarma.com. Thank you. God bless.